Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Kelly Levine, the Closet Coach. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the difference between IKEA closet systems, and specifically, I'm going to be looking at the PAX system, P-A-X, compared to custom closet systems that you would get from a closet company or potentially put together yourself and go out and purchase from a box store. So full disclosure, I am not, as a closet designer, I did not sell people IKEA systems. I did have a few clients who had IKEA systems and were doing something different with them. But I didn't sell them specifically. So why am I doing this video? I'm doing this video because I think a lot of people start comparing prices. IKEA does have a lot of cool different sections, and we'll take a look at some of those. But I wanted to tell you some ups and downs of when using IKEA systems might be a really good idea and when it might be worth your while to look into a custom closet company or a different kind of system. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, I'm Kelly Levine. On this channel, I'm teaching people how to design custom closets. As a designer for 6 years, I have designed every different type of space you can pretty much think of. I, have sold and had installed over $4 million worth of closets. So that basically means I've probably designed about $8 million worth. So have a lot of experience, and I'm here to help you. So I'd love to hear your comments, questions. What types of things are holding you up with regard to your organizational closet systems? So far, we've been talking mostly about master bedroom systems, but we could also talk about pantries, mudrooms, garages, different types of areas that you may need some structure built to handle the organization as well. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you guys what I want to talk about today. Bear with me just a second here. Okay, so I've got quite a few pages here of, the different sections that you can get from IKEA to do, a lot of different things. So they've got some straight, and these are the prices off the internet. So, we can talk a little bit about that at the end. They've got a few corner units. I'm going to talk about those today. I think, here's what I'll say about IKEA units. These can work really well if you've got a temporary situation, if you've got a room or something with a straight wall that you want to convert into some storage. I still want to suggest that you do some inventory so that you're making a really good decision about what you're buying. And we'll talk a little bit about that more later too, but you can see, you've got a lot of drawers here, not a ton of hanging. Shelf widths and things like that are going to matter as well. But you can see here, if you've got, a long wall, or you're going to use a small section like this on a wall to convert a bedroom or to add some storage, probably, no problem. I did have a client that had, a loft, and they used these sections as kind of room dividers. That worked out really well for them. They really liked that system. I did some other things for them, a wall bed and a cabinet next to that, but they had already had that IKEA system, and they really liked it. So I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these systems, but what I do want to point out are a few things that you really need to keep in mind, because again, closet design is not always intuitive because of the width of clothing and how it hangs on hangers. So, here are, got a few other, something is not right here. I had a whole bunch of pages. There it is. Let's move this here. And move this here. All right, so again, here's some straight pieces. Here's some more other little pieces. The other thing that I'll say about these systems is that, like, just using like maybe, a section like that or a section like this, you could use that along with, maybe even some wire hanging for your double hanging if you are, really want to get budget conscious. But you can see, these are not necessarily that inexpensive. When I used to, do some just budget pricing, I would use about $200 or $300 for a shelf unit. So this is not necessarily inexpensive. This might have some, this has got some pull-out shoe shelves, but again, that's not adjustable. So those are held in place, and we'll talk about that. But I do think that these have some great uses, and you can certainly do some fun things with them. We're going to talk a little bit more about these two sections to get a little bit more specific, but there's a few things that I want to point out. Oh, that one's a second thing we're going to do. Okay, so when looking at this, this looks absolutely beautiful with no clothes in it, but I started looking at this and I was like, how is that working? You can tell the difference between these two sides. In other words, this is probably 14 inches deep. They actually don't give you that dimension on the pages that I researched on, but I know that this is probably 22 inches. I've done quite a few of these systems, so it's either 22 or 24 inches deep, because that's what it takes, again, for clothes to hang the normal way that they hung. But look at what they did here. They're showing these clothes, they're showing these clothes hung, from front to back. You guys, that might look good in this picture, but that is absolutely going to suck when you're trying to get clothes out of there to see what you have. Besides the fact that this is not an efficient use of space. So if that's important to you, this is just kind of goofy. You can see here that it looks like they have the hangers going the normal way compared to on this side where they're going out. Because if clothes were hanging out normal here, they would actually be hanging in front of these drawers and these shelves. So I don't know what they've done for the photo over here. But if you hang clothes the normal way here, they're going to hang out in front of these drawers. It's really obvious when you look on this side that you need much wider space to handle the hanging clothes, because you can see it here and here. So how they, doctored this for the picture to make it look like that side doesn't hang out in front of the shelving, I'm not sure. Or maybe they have the clothes hanging like this in there, which again is not going to be fun to use. So that's one of my first points is when you're looking at these things, I'll show you how to do the inventory to figure out really what you're getting, but this is not a good use of space to hang things like that. It looks like from the way they've got these that you could use the bar, or this, I'm guessing that this is a support back here so that you could hang that way. But again, if you use the bar here, these clothes would be hanging in front of this stuff by about, probably 8 to 10 inches. So that's that. So the other thing that I've done is I've put together a closet. So when you're looking at these corner units, these are 106 inches wide for this one and 108 inches wide for this one. So, 108 inches is a 9-foot closet. So this is not for a small closet. It's got to be at least 9 foot wide. And then these are only 44.5 inches deep on each side, and they go back to the wall. So, if this is 14 inches deep, we only have really 30 inches hanging out. So I'm just going to say that typically when I'm in a closet that is, 9 foot wide in the back, it's it's probably fairly deep too. It might not be, but for this example, I'm going to kind of show you how this would play out. So let's just take this one. It says it's 108 and 5/8. But we're just going to say it's 108 so that it fits in this room. I don't want to deal with fractions, and you'd actually have to have a little bit wider than 9 foot to be able to do this. So in this case, these 44.5 inch sections are going all the way to the wall. So they're 14 inches deep. And the reason that I know that, or I'm assuming that, is because that's a typical depth for a closet system. So if we look at 44.5 and we're drawing this at 14 inches deep, we're going to be about to there. On each side. And then this center section, which is 3 sections actually, takes up the rest of the center. So if we've got 108 and we're taking away 28 inches, we've got 80 inches left. I think this kind of sort of looks like it's, broken into 4 equal sections. So I'm going to kind of sort of call this 40 in the middle, because they're showing these hung like this. I know that that's got to be probably at least 20 inches. So I'm going to call that center section 40 and the 2 outside sections 20 inches each. So we've got, let's see. And I'm going to draw this all the way across because it's equal all the way across on that one. Oops. Okay, so that's about how these sections are laying out. Okay, so you can see number one, you've got a lot of space left. So that $908 that you're paying for this system, I think it was like $908 for this system, is not enough to fill up your room. And most rooms are, like I said, you're probably going to have to purchase another system, another sections for there and there, but we don't need to talk about that today. But regardless, that's what that would look like. Now, from our conversations before, that if clothes are hanging out 22 inches, this is where the clothes are hanging out. If you had them, hanging normally, which is again why they're showing them hanging this way instead of the normal way. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. But, the other thing is, I've done a little bit of math on a different page here. So I wanted to show you that. Oh, no, wrong one. I can do it again on this one. So if we were to draw this, what it looks like from the front, and this is this one is 93 inches tall. So this one that's 93 inches tall is probably pretty decent. This other one, which is very similar, this one here, is only 79.25 inches tall. So again, when you're dealing with double hanging, even though this one's deep enough, so that might work pretty well, when you're dealing with double hanging, that's not enough. Typically, the system should be 84 inches tall, or you're going to have especially if it's, someone who's taller, you're going to have your clothes hanging on the floor and hanging on each other. Okay, so this is not going to be necessarily all neat and pretty like this with regular size clothes. I might be able to get away with it, or somebody that's, under 5 foot, let's say 6 or 7. But anybody taller than that, this is going to start being a mess. All right. So, that's that. And if we were drawing this out, so we've got 93 inches of height, and we've got the 14-inch wide pieces on the sides, or the 14 inches deep, and then we've got our 20-inch shelving pieces. Oh, I see what I did. I didn't draw this quite right. That should be out to there. This should be over a little bit more. So got this over here. All right, so then we've got, essentially these, whoops, and these all have bases as well. So I think this one's got, yeah, they're showing a shelf up here, which, will be very narrow if you set this up for a regular size person, because this shelf right here is going to be very narrow. But it could be done. Did they show? And then they've got another shelf here. Okay, so they've got their double hanging, but the way they've shown it is all going back. So if this is 40 inches wide, 14 inches deep, we basically have, for our closet math, we've got 14 times 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 56 inches of hanging there. But if we were hanging clothes the regular way, and this is 40 inches, we've got 40 times 2, so we've got 80 inches of hanging. So you can see that this is not, just by the math here, hanging clothes that way is not an economical use of space. And it is not going to be easy to get those clothes off of the hangers that are behind the front one. Okay, so looks pretty in a picture, not practical in real life. All right, so that's one of the things that I wanted to point out. The other thing with this system in particular is, let's see what they're showing. They're showing 1, 2, 3, basically 4 drawers and 4 shelves. So, we've got something like that. And then they've only put in, 4 shelves, which, in my opinion, is not enough. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of extra space. You could definitely, I know you can buy shelves, but you can even see, looking at these pictures, like this is a tall box. Most people would be using this for clothes. You can see all the extra space. Sorry, I think I've got a better picture. Hold on, let me get closer. Okay, so you can see all this extra space. This is not how people use their shelves. You could get at least 1 more shelf in there, and probably 2. So that would be an additional shelf that you would need to purchase to get the most out of this system. Again, not bad. They're just not giving you enough pieces to use the space in the best way, because nobody is going to stack anything that high. And all of these are spaced like that, except for the very top one. Okay, so that is that part of it. Oh, sorry, I keep doing this, flipping to you. Okay, so if we've got our 4 drawers here, This is the part that I want to tell you before we move on to the next piece. If you hung clothes normally, they would be hanging, whoops, they would be hanging out to here. So they would be hanging like that. Okay, this is where I'm trying to show you guys that you've got to think this through. If you need to maximize your space, do not buy anything that has you hanging things like going back like this, like this. It just is not going to maximize your space. So it's not good. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to say about that. The other thing is, if you were using this, if you were using this system here, then your system is going to be, like this. And this is the proper amount of space that you need to hang clothes in there. So this would all be out of there. But then your centerpieces, you can see they dropped it down to 3 equal spaces because now they've got, hold on, I got to get my calculator on here. Because now they've got 6 minus 22 minus 22, about 60 inches or so. So each one of these center pieces are 30 inches, but they're still only 14 inches deep. So again, instead of getting 60 inches of hanging here, you're only getting 28 inches of hanging. Actually, maybe that's even narrower than that because these almost look like they're only like maybe 24 inches. So they've made this even smaller. So I think that one's only 106 inches. So, it's much less space because these sides are so wide. So if you'd only have something like this in the center, and you're cutting down your amount of hanging here quite a bit, you're getting a lot more hanging on the sides. It looks like they've got these both set up for double hanging. So this one's long, it looks like, because I can see a bag down there. But I'm guessing you could set those up however you wanted to. So the other thing that I want to point out about this is, see how each one of these sections, they've only got shown 1 stack of clothes. Here they've got 2, but you can see that they're very neatly folded and they're, small type of clothes, not bulky at all. When you're working with a custom closet, you can get wider shelves so that you can get 2 stacks on there, on each shelf. And again, use that space in a much more efficient manner. So these look really good. It takes a very big room to do one of these corner units. And so even though this looks like a lot, just, keep in mind that you're going to have to add probably more onto it in order to fill up your space and get the storage that you want. Okay, the next room that I wanted to talk about, or the next style, is this one. I don't think this is a bad setup, but I do want to point out a few things. Oh, actually, I was going to do one. Is that the one I did? No. Let's look at this first, just as a quick study for the math. This one is kind of sort of the backwards of that white one that we're doing. Actually, I think it's similar. But again, here we've got, they're again showing that goofy hanging. So instead of, we could have had 40 inches of hanging. Now we've only got 28. This is really hard to see back there. It's going to be very hard to see the clothes that are hanging behind. And what did I wrote some? Oh yeah. So I was just pointing out again how these are so narrow that you can only fit one stack of clothes on each one. This one isn't bad, but I just, again, want to point out that these are not necessarily set up with the to use the space in the most functional and getting the most amount in there, like a closet company would be, or like I would design something based on somebody's inventory. So I did a quick study here with the shoes. You can see they've got it set up. This is fairly narrow again. So there's only 2 pairs of shoes that are fitting on each shelf. And they've only got 7 shelves. And this is 80 inches tall again. So again, this is unrealistic. If this was a man's suits and shirts, they would be hanging on top of each other. 70 inches or 80 inches in height is not a good height. It's just, but you need that if you've got, like an 8-foot ceiling. I mean, you need that because these things get pretty bulky and tough to get in there. And this is a 24-inch deep section, or probably a 22-inch deep section. So these are nice big drawers. And IKEA's drawers do slide really nice, but they're so wide. Again, they're probably 30 inches wide or so, because this is a 63-inch wall here, and it looks like they've done that in half. So you can already see, kind of sort of the mess starting here. And this is from their catalog. So back to the shoes. They only had 7 shelves. That means if you put 2 pair on a shelf, you'd get 14 pairs on there. Okay. If it was set up the way it should be, and let's just work with the same 20-inch wide shelf, even though if I was doing it, I would either make it a little bit narrower and give the rest to the shelf, or I'd make it wider so that you could get 3 pairs on, typically 22 to 24 inches for a woman and 27 to 30 inches for a guy. But let's just say we're leaving it at 20 inches. There should be a lot more shelves in there, and you should be able to get 11 to 26 pairs in there. And that's even, with some heels. That's not just, putting it in there with all flats. Actually, with all flats, you could even get more than that. But you can see, I mean, we're getting almost close to double if it's done right. And when you look at the picture, you can see these are slanted, which again looks really cool. But if you're somebody that needs to maximize your space, then this is taking up more room, and you can see all the wasted space here. Okay. It's not, again, it's not intuitive until you really look at the math and see how much more you could get in if this was done a different way. But I do kind of like this look. It seems to have everything that somebody might need: some drawers, some shelves, not a ton of hanging. But again, do your inventory first so you know you're making the correct decision when you're picking out which units you want to use. This one's got a couple different things. It's got, some double hanging here, some double hanging here. It's even got a little basket under here. This again is only 80 inches tall. So right here, you're only going to be able to hang like pants over a hanger. So you've got to look at this, at the dimensions of things. This is not enough space to hang shirts. This they've got set up for, some mid hanging and then some long hanging back into the corner, which is probably fine if you don't wear those long things a lot, but it's going to be a pain in the butt to get to those on a daily basis. So if you wear a lot of dresses, this is not the section for you. Then again, they've got shelves here, but again, look at how these shelves are spaced. I told you guys, I would space the shelves at 10 inches. there should be like 7 shelves in there, not 4. So you're going to be purchasing more pieces if you want to maximize your storage capacity. But this has got, a basket and some drawers and, again, some shelves that aren't enough shelves there. This is the kind of unit that you would need or want if you've got a closet that's shaped like this, where it's fairly narrow in the back and then it's longer on the side. This is what would fit in there. So, where are we for time? I don't want to make this go too long. I guess I can't tell. We'll go a little bit longer. Okay, so the back portion of this is 63 inches. I drew this as 66. So let's see. And the back portion of this is just going to be 14 inches deep. Oops, let's go back to the. And then the side portion is 24. And that's 82 inches. So we're coming, I drew this at 84. So we're coming all the way up. Now keep in mind, again, this is another interesting thing to think about. These are deep sections. These sections are, right around 20, 22, 24 inches deep, like I said. More than likely, there's going to be a light switch here. So if you don't have enough room, if you're trying to do this wall to wall, you've got to make sure that your light switch isn't going to be behind this section here. All right, I hope that made sense. But again, there's, if the door is here and it's a narrower closet, typically there's a light switch either inside the door or outside the door, and they vary all over the place. So you've got to keep that in mind when you're picking out these sections and really know your dimensions and lay it out. So you've got 2 sections here. So those are both, right around that 40 inches. And then they've got a little, I'm not exactly sure what that little section is for. Maybe they wanted you to have a place to put your laundry, but it looks like, this is kind of coming in here for part of it. I'm going to leave that out for now. And then on this side, you've got 2 sections like that. These, here's your drawers, here's your, whoops, sorry, you guys can't see that. Here's your drawers, here's your shelves. This section here is back here, and this double hang section right here is right here. So right off the bat, I don't like this because you're walking into this crowdedness. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that in a closet like this, I would put the shelves and the drawers here and all of the hanging and stuff in the back. So there's a way to work with these modules in this case. But again, the other thing with the IKEA stuff is, you can buy just the pieces. So if you don't want to spend $775 to have, this limited amount of hanging, because this is, not that good, you could combine it with some wire shelving to do your double hanging and use these other pieces for the shelving and the drawers. That might be a good solution. But, just keep in mind how you're going to be walking in. The math on this is going to be, let's see, 40, 80, 120 inches of hanging. No, yes, something like that. But on an 84-inch wall, if you were doing all double hanging, you get 160 inches. They've got this set up a little bit different because they've put this piece in. Again, you can really see if you've been following me for any amount of time that it really depends on the inventory, what you're trying to get in there. And so, yeah, but again, they've got, let me see if I had any other notes. I think that was kind of sort of what I wanted to cover. Be really mindful of the depth that you're choosing, the depth of these sides. Again, you can't, you know, do a lot. You've got to have a decent sized closet to use these really deep sections inside a closet. But if you've got a room or if you're trying to use them in a loft type of a situation, they might work out really well for you. Be really mindful of this, being narrow on the sides in front of drawers. And if it was me, I would totally stay away from thinking that I was going to hang clothes like that. Okay, but you can see there's some pretty neat sections. They've got some colors, some different styles of drawers that make things look pretty neat. I think these are, most of the time these are backed, meaning they have material on the back to help stiffen them, which is why you can use them as room dividers and things like that if you're setting something up that way. So there's a lot of cool uses in these. The other thing that makes them different than custom closets is the material is not as thick. These are not necessarily made to last, 20, 30 years like most closets company systems are. The cost is not inexpensive. It's not expensive, but I would say think about your options when you're looking at this. You can do it yourself, so you could potentially save some money there. But if you can't find the pieces that you want, so do your inventory if you're going to use this stuff, again, so that you're choosing the right pieces. Make sure you've got enough space, and you think about your obstacles in the room as you're buying these pieces. If you are tall, stay away from the 80-inch tall sections. It's not going to be tall enough for your hanging. And so that's what I've got for you for that. You guys, I would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you have questions about these systems, if you need some help laying out a system, there's links below. You can hire me to help you lay out a system so that you know you're doing it right. I've got a closet course coming up, so you can find out more information about that in the links as well. And thanks for being here. We'll keep going. Let me know what your questions are, and take care until next time.